This is From Hero to Zero, a show about the misconception of the demise of the music industry. We talk to heroes to make sense of the alleged zero, the music business. Hi Henkka, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Very good, thank you. So Henkka, bass player for Children of Bodom, been with the band over 20 years, been an artist for over 2 decades. Somewhere I read that if you didn't become an artist, you would have become a history teacher, which I found very interesting and nice. So in that regard, give us some insight about history. Where do you see the main differences about being a musician today, 2017, compared to when you started as an artist in the mid-90s?
Well, when we started, I joined the band in '94, and I was in the middle school still. So, of course, the situation was different. It was just a hobby. We were playing in the garage and drinking beer, and it was just a hobby. So, in a way, it's difficult to. I haven't experienced professional musicianship in the '90s because so it really became professional for us maybe 2000 and early 2000 or something. So maybe like 10-15 years ago. But ever since it's been changed a lot. The whole structure of income is totally different. Not totally different, but quite different. So I think it's interesting. Of course, sometimes it feels a little bit scary that the actual physical sales are going down. But then the internet gives so many opportunities, and you just have to be really creative to be able to do it. Creative in marketing wise and stuff. So I think it's very interesting times that we're, and I think it's a fact that the vinyl sales are higher than ever. Maybe it was last year, which is I think it's amazing that it's higher than in the 70s or 80s when they were really big. So yeah, interesting times.
Definitely. You just mentioned the revenue streams are different now, and that you have new opportunities. Which opportunities do you, with the band, take? Which ones do you make fruitful?
Well, I don't know which are the ones that bear fruit, but for example, Facebook, simple, nowadays simple, and thing that we take for granted, but it's an amazing tool for talking to people and giving information, and I think we have like 2.4 million followers or something. So it's for example, Facebook, I think that's the one that we've been using the most. But I guess we should be more also engaged in other, maybe even Snapchat or Twitter or something. But so far we're just comfortable with Facebook.
When you say you, is it the band itself, or is it your management taking care of it, and do you take turns?
We do it together, the management and us, and so we know what's happening there. But they have also the administration codes for that.
Of course. Interesting. So, talking about revenue streams, maybe somewhere I read that you always wanted to tour. You always enjoyed touring. Back in the days, like you said, when you were not a professional musician yet, maybe it was more for fun. You were also younger. Many artists claim that nowadays that's their biggest revenue stream. So today, is it for you rather a necessity? How can you elaborate on that? How do you see it?
I think that nowadays the shows are the biggest income. It used to be equal with royalties, but nowadays the shows are bigger. So it is a necessity in that way too. But we, like you said, we have always been a live band. We have always loved playing live, and I think most of the metal bands, they are better live than they are on the CD or on the vinyl or on Spotify. But so I think even if the structure or the whole revenue didn't change, if it was the same, I think we would still be playing as many shows as we are doing now. So I don't think we have changed that because it is just important part of our music to be playing live as much as possible.
Sure. We talked to Tom Hunting, drummer for Exodus, and he mentioned that someone he will think about retirement, and because when people get older and they cannot play all the time. Did you ever think about that? Is there a retirement plan? Because if you don't play live, you have a much smaller revenue stream coming in. Did you ever think about that? Or what's your opinion?
Of course, we think about it because it's, we are a band of 5 guys, and it's kind of like, in a way, a fragile thing that it could end any time, basically. So of course, I think they always think about, plan B or retirement plan, as you said. I don't know. There's a lot of things that have had in my mind that I cannot do now because the band takes so much time that probably I would just do some of them, if there would be the situation that the band wouldn't be anymore active.
Sure.
And I also have the master's degree in social sciences, so maybe I would go for the teacher. I would have to get the teacher's the license first, and then maybe from there. But I don't know if I can go back to a day job, or if I want to go back to a day job.
Just wanted to ask if you want to. I was looking through your discography and saw that basically every single Children of Bodom album was in various charts, from very high to still very high in different countries, and you kept increasing. Is it still how relevant is it today to have chart positions?
It's not really relevant anymore because, first of all, like the whole structure has changed. We used to be really like focused on how the charts go and how the record sales are in numbers, but I think the last couple of years we realized that it doesn't really matter. The whole system is so different now. It's not really relevant how much. I think it's even more relevant how many YouTube clicks you have than how many, in a way,
sure.
just to compare. But so yeah, it's not really relevant. Of course, maybe in Finland, that's probably the only country that we actually still, think that we have to be number 1 or number 2 or number 3. Otherwise, it's going to be disappointing. But no, it's not relevant really anymore for us.
Not even for touring, for promoters. Do you see there a relevancy or not?
I don't think so. I don't think anymore. Of course, if we would be number 1 in every country, of course it would be easier to, market stuff. But we're such an old band and we have the fan base that I don't think the promoters need to, market our shows with chart positions. Rather, yeah. They know what they get when they book us.
You just mentioned YouTube clicks might maybe be more relevant than record sales today. It's definitely a vanity metric which people look at. For you as a band, do you follow what happens with your videos, how many views you have, and why is it or is it not important?
No, I don't really follow. We don't really follow that either. Sometimes I check on Spotify. You can see the bars on the right which songs are most clicked, but it's not really relevant. No.
There is an argument, or actually there are several artists who brought up the argument that YouTube and Spotify do not remunerate artists in a fair way. I don't know, have you followed that argument, and what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know about YouTube, but I think Spotify, I think we're in a new phase. We're in kind of like in transition from the old style record labels into this new streaming kind of thing. So everything is new for everybody. So, but I think the problem is still the deals with, for example, the likes of Spotify with the record label. I think those are the ones that have to be worked on. I think that I think there is money, and the money goes. The providers they pay money for the whoever owns the rights, but then in the deals between the artist and the record label, there are the problems. I think that the digital stuff is a little bit, lacking or like in behind of the. At least I remember that we've always had the digital sales and the actual sales. There's a very different payment system. Mm-hmm. So that I think those are the things that has to be worked on. But I think there's a bright future with the new ways of playing music and new ways of buying music and selling music. But it just has to be. I think the time will. I think very soon. Things will be matched and balanced so that it's matching the old way of selling music. I hope at least.
Do you have any suggestions what would that ideally look like for an artist like yourself?
Well, I guess ideally it would be if the structure would go back how it was, like that, record sales and shows would be equal income for a band like us. I think that would be the ideal thing in the future. How, I don't know. Maybe just concentrate on researching on those new ways of streaming and like Spotify's and YouTube's, to get them on. Yeah, to develop them and control them so that it becomes more fair for the artist, not only for the record labels but also for the artist. So I think, like I said earlier, the deals between the artist and the record label is in a big position in here, not only the record label and the provider.
I saw a making of your the last record you released, I Worship Chaos, where you did something different by actually taking advantage of technological advancements and recording in a warehouse by yourself. So basically a do-it-yourself approach, which seems to be prominent nowadays in music. Do you think that is a good trend, or what's your opinion on that?
I think it's also the same, like I was talking earlier about the opportunities with the technology. I think it's also the same thing. You can easily record nowadays. You don't have to have a big budget for making an album. You can do it by yourself, which is great because more bands can do it. Meaning there's lots of more music out there. People are, it's easier to get on the field, but then it's harder to go further because there's so many bands out there. But we did it by ourselves in our warehouse. Of course, we had to rent certain gear like the mixing console, and of course we hired an engineer and producer, and he was also mixing the album. So we didn't. It wasn't just us, but it can be done, and especially if you have people who are interested in music technology, then it's easy. But I think it's part of the whole technology process that people can do things by themselves, and you don't have to necessarily rent a studio for 400 euros a day to make an album. You can do it pretty much in any room in your house if you want to. Of course, certain things you want to rent, but most of the stuff can be done. And of course, it needs a space. Like our warehouse just happens to be a big place that actually sounds good, for example, because the drums need a space, like they need an acoustic space. You cannot do them in your living room, or you could, but they would sound bad.
Exactly.
So we're lucky because we have the warehouse, and the drums sound good in that, because normally we've been doing the drums in a rented studio, but this time we tried it in our big space and it works well. So we're fortunate with that.
Spinning the discussion of technological advancements a bit further, life also brings, or technology brings, new possibilities or opportunities to life as well, with, for instance, backing tracks. First of all, do you use backing tracks? Why and why not? And what do you think of it?
We don't really use them. We have only a couple of intros and outros that we use, but we don't have any tracks that are played when we are actually playing. I don't have anything against them. I think there's a lot of opinions about it, but I think a live show is a live show, and the band can choose their way to do it as long as I think the main thing is that the audience is entertained, and I think people can do whatever they want. But no, we don't have it, and we are in a way kind of like a purist about it, that we want to play the songs how they are played on the record, so that anything that's recorded has to be also pulled off, has to be able to pulled off live, just within five of us. So maybe it's an old school way of thinking, but that's how we are at the moment, at least.
Beautiful. Well, I like that, and well, Henkka, it was very interesting. All the best for the future.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Yes, thanks.